Evelyn Inc. here. Hello, 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 everybody. It's Evelyn of Evelyn Inc. here, and I am coming to you. Oop, my finger is all in front of the camera. I am coming to you today really quickly just to talk to you about 3 reasons why your creative business needs corporate strategies. And, one of the things that I do is I teach creative solopreneurs how to implement strategies, corporate strategies into their business so they can go from the solopreneur model to a more sustainable brand, something that's going to last longer, something that may outlive them, right? And, I've worked in, hello, welcome to the live stream. And I'm also going to share this. If you guys are not in my Facebook group, Mavens on the Move, the Facebook group, then you should absolutely hang out with us in there, because I do a lot of extra broadcasts in there that I don't do over here. So anyway, I just want to come in really briefly to talk about 3 reasons why your small business, your solopreneur business, your creative business needs corporate strategies, because that's what I do. I spent about 12 years in corporate America, and I worked for 3 of the top 50, 100, 3 of the top 50, Forbes 50. So there's like the Forbes 500, the Forbes 100. Well, I've worked for 3 of the top 50 over the past 12 years, and in many different roles. And I learned a lot of different, I was trained in a lot of things. I did a lot of different corporate strategies and continuous improvement and all that kind of stuff. And I want to talk to you about the 3 reasons your small business as a solopreneur needs corporate strategies. Number 1 is for longevity, right? So what I know, what I've seen is that the way we do business changes and evolves all the time, right? So right now we are in the imagination age, right? So everybody is online, and everybody has an online business or an online component to their business, where before everything was like all super corporate, or before that everything was very industrial, and then before that everything was very agricultural, right? So the way we do business has significantly changed over the years. The way we market our business has changes, right? We used to do, billboards used to be a really big deal. Door-to-door sales used to be big, and then it was radio, and then it was TV, and now it's social media and internet marketing, right? And so one of the reasons I help my clients with implementing corporate strategies, even though they have creative businesses, is so that they can have longevity. Because when you have a strategy in place, it doesn't really matter what happens in the way business is done. Your business will ebb and flow with the way that business is done, because the premise of business never changes. The premise of business is relatively simple, which is, hey, I have a product or a service that people need and or want. It's just that simple. I offer something that either people need or they want, or I'm solving a problem for people, or I'm fulfilling a desire. So it's important to have strategies in place that are based on principles and not tactics. So, if your whole business was built on MySpace, that's not a strategy, that's a tactic. And then when MySpace went away, so did your business, right? And so right now we have a lot of businesses that are built like solely on YouTube, or solely on Instagram or Facebook, or solely on something that is very current right now. It doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon, but that's not necessarily true. And so if you understand that those are tactics, those are means to an end, and you understand where they fit in the flow of business, then your business will be able to stand the test of time, versus being so dependent upon the mechanism, right? So a really good example of that we talk about all the time is Blockbuster. Blockbuster was in the business of entertainment at home, right? Whether they said that or not, they were in the business of entertainment at home, okay? And so because of that, the mechanism in which they offered that was VHS and DVDs, if you guys are old enough to remember that, right? the problem is when you lose sight of what you're actually offering people, and you get stuck in the mechanism, you don't know how to ebb and flow. So because they offered entertainment at home, right, if that's just as my external point of view, then when the streaming came along, they should have been like, oh yeah, we should be the pioneers in that, because we are the pioneers of entertainment at home, right? But they were stuck on the mechanism, right? So a lot of people, you know, my concern for a lot of creative entrepreneurs is their businesses are built on mechanisms and not on strategies. Okay, so they're built on social media, they're built on blogging, they're built on whatever, which is fine and is working right now. But as things, you know, blogging is decreasing and video is increasing, right? We know that some social networks are more popular than the others, depending upon the month, depending upon the year, depending upon the generation that's watching, right? So how do you have strategies in place that no matter what happens, your business can ebb and flow? So that's the number one reason. That's the first reason. I won't say the number one reason, but that's the first reason why your creative brand needs corporate strategies, okay? So that's number one, was longevity. Number two is profitability. Okay, at the end of the day, after working for some major corporations, guys, and I've worked in everything from research and development to compliance to retail to food manufacturing to engineering, going daily and asking questions of your clients. Yes, and asking questions of your clients, make sure that you stay on top of their needs and desires, but then having the strategy on as the mechanisms to deliver those goods to them, those products, those services change, right, to making sure that you have a strategy to stay on top of that, right? So so I've worked in so many different capacities, I've worked in car manufacturing, appliance manufacturing, food manufacturing, environmental compliance. I've worked in retail. I've worked in clothing, shoes, yes, you sell by listening. Absolutely. Clothing, shoes. I worked in research and development. I mean, I've done a little bit of everything. And in all of those roles, I had to implement strategy. And there are certain systems in place that larger corporations use to make sure that they're profitable, right? And that they can continuously be profitable, right? And so what I see with a lot of solopreneurs and with a lot of creative businesses is that they are not implementing strategies to make sure that they're continuously profitable, right? So one of the things that comes to mind is when you look at lots of major corporations, their largest budget is on marketing, not on the production of what they offer. Their largest buckets of money of their budget is on sales, and they have people who do sales 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? And so how do you take that concept and apply that to your small business or your solopreneur business? Okay, so the first reason that it's important that your creative brand have corporate strategies is for longevity. The second thing is for profitability, and saying, while I may not be a large corporation today, and you may not ever want to be a large corporation, but if you want your business to stand the test of time, it needs to be profitable. And how can I adapt strategies that large corporations use to make my business more sustainable, more profitable, and for longevity? And then the third reason, you guys, and this is just, like I said, this is just going to be a short little video today, that you want to have corporate strategies in your creative business is because you want to be able to scale, right? You want to be able to grow. So how do you scale from where you are now? If with the systems and the process you have in place, could you 10 times what you're doing? Could you 50 times what you're doing? Could you 100 times what you're doing? And I would tell you, as a previous engineer, particularly working in manufacturing, there were some very specific systems and strategies and processes that we put in place. Thank you. Is it Doriel? Longevity, profitability, and scalability. There were specific processes and strategies and systems that we put in place to be able to scale, right? So you got to think that every business starts off small. Okay, good. I'm saying your name right. Perfect. almost every business at some point started off small. Now, if it was a spinoff of something later on, then that's different, right? And eventually, those businesses had to scale, right? There is a strategy to scaling, right? So the clients that I help right now were really like, hey, I'm tired of launching. I want to go from continuously launching to a sustainable brand, right? How do I scale? And, right now, the popular solution to scaling is, just get a VA, get a graphic designer, and get a personal assistant. And I think that's cool, and I think that's beneficial, right? I definitely think you need that, but then there's a level beyond that, right? There's a point where you want to build your business to it's no longer dependent upon you solely, right? It's no longer dependent upon your presence all the time in order for the business to function. And I see this a lot, particularly in our community, let me say it like that, where our business models are so heavily dependent upon us, and then when we leave that business model, move on to something else, the brand dies, or if we unfortunately pass on, the brand dies, and there's no legacy there. There's nothing to leave to a family member. There's nothing to sell off for wealth. There's nothing to leave to children. All of those years of work and dedication and honing your talent and your skill on your service or your product, the strategies weren't put in place from the beginning or at some point to make that business be built to last and built to grow, right? And so from working in a manufacturing plant where you go for producing 50 pounds or something, legacy should be automated to a limit. True, but putting in scalability is not just about automation, right? So there are certain strategies, like I'll tell you, even in working in manufacturing, yes, there's some automation. However, when you start with, let's say, a 500-pound batch of something, and then you need to go to make 5 million pounds of something, that's not just about, I'm going to put in equipment, or I'm just going to whatever. There is a system and processes and strategies and things that you have to check and measure and understand about the 500-pound batch and how that works and that process in order to scale it and still have a quality product, right? So the same thing applies when you're talking about a service-based business. The same thing applies when you're talking about a product-based business. What do I need to be measuring and monitoring and tracking, and what systems and processes and strategies do I have in place so that when the time comes to scale, I am able to do that, right? Or my business is able to do that. So just to recap, 3 reasons your creative brand needs corporate strategies. The first one is for longevity, to make sure that your business can stand the ebb and flow of changes in the marketplace. The second one is for profitability, because if you're not making a profit, then you don't really have a business. You know what I'm saying? And then the third one is for growth and scalability, right? So how can you scale your business to be more than just dependent upon your name, your face, and your efforts for a long period of time and be profitable, right? So that's what I help my clients do. You guys, if you are interested in getting some help, then let me know. You can go to bit.ly/chat with Evelyn. So growing the business needs to include growing. Let me read this. So growing the business needs to include growing your partnership. So when you scale up, you can do so with others. Yes, right. So partnerships is one component, but I will say this: there's not a generic formula to scale, because business models are different. There is a strategy to scaling, right? But partnerships, depending on what the business model is often a part of that pie. So thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, I wanted to keep it short and sweet today because I know I can get on here and get to going. But I wanted to kind of give you some money motivation. If you guys are like, hey, listen, I want to start now thinking about, I want to start with the end in mind, and I want to start putting some strategies, some corporate strategies into my creative business today, I would love to support you in that. You can go to bit.ly/chat with Evelyn. If you want to get on a call and see how we could work together. And I would love to help you in that business. Like I've said, I've worked in so many different industries and so many different job functions, and strategy was the way that I was able to succeed and get them really, really good results, right? And so what I know this about business is that what the business is doesn't necessarily matter, because business is business, and different strategies fit different businesses. So if you would like to have some support and you want to see if we're a good fit together, you can go to bit.ly/chat with Evelyn, and we can get on a call and get you some strategies in place so that we can make sure your business is stable. You're welcome, Dorielle. Thank you. So we can make sure your business is stable, profitable, and scalable for 2018. And make sure you share these live streams and these videos with your business besties, and make sure they're getting some tips and some usefulness. But anyway, I will see you guys later this week. Make sure you're tuned in. And if you are not in the Mavens on the Move Facebook group, you make sure you want to join that. So go to bit.ly/Mavens on the Move, and that'll get you into our Facebook group, where I do some special broadcasts in there that I don't do here on YouTube or even on my Facebook page. So, all right, you guys, I'll see you later. Bye.